You are listening to Droptent Media Network.
This is Sam Cap and Sam Dub with Sam We Are. Don't use animals as an insult. Animals are innocent.
The fuck is that from?
Have you ever heard that vegan song?
No.
I'm not going to sing it because I sing too much on this podcast, and that's not my skill set.
It's a problem for everyone.
I'm so sorry I do that to everyone. But the song, it's like this really corny like video of these people, and they're going, "Don't use animal as an insult. Animals are innocent." They're like, "I would never call you a snake. I respect both you and snakes."
Oh, what the?
You've never heard that?
No.
That's my vegan song for you today.
No.
Yeah. You don't like it? I'm going to play it for you later. Like, me singing it is not even as corny as the video could. You can't imagine how corny this video is.
So like it goes on and it's like, don't say pig. That would be like another one, right? Or like rat.
Yeah. They go, "I would never call you a pig. I respect both you and pigs. Don't use animals as an insult." I like sang there, so it doesn't really count as me singing to you guys. I'm sorry I did that again, but
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll play it for you later. Everyone should listen to it later. It's super funny.
Are these people vegan?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
They look like 1990s vegetarians, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's their vibe.
Yeah.
Like hippies who went to Woodstock and then in the 90s were like, "I don't eat meat." But like they still eat cheese and shit.
Gotcha.
That's my vibe on that song. But it's a funny song. And now I'm just hating on the people who made the song. I'm like, judging them. I didn't mean to judge them. Like, they're fine. But yeah, it just like has like a very old school feel to it. It's silly. I'll play it for you. It's on YouTube.
Well, you know, if they were vegan, they would have told everyone, right?
That's right.
I feel like that's a common misconception though too, that people are like, "Oh, if someone's vegan, you'll know, like you won't have to ask." I disagree, because I think that as a vegan, sometimes, I mean, you just don't want to deal with the bullshit that comes afterwards, like people's million questions and advice and all this shit they think they know about you right off the bat, and it's like exhausting. Like I prefer just to do my own thing. If someone asks, I'll keep it short and sweet, but like if they keep going into too much detail, I'm just gonna tell them to Google it. But yeah, do you feel like that?
Yeah, I always feel like that.
Yeah.
It depends. I like don't, if people start asking me, "Oh, why are you vegan?" I'm like, "Oh, I gotta feel this person out, you know," and I have to figure out if they're asking me to be like a negging sort of ask, or if they're asking me because they're genuinely interested.
They could also be dumb. That's a third option, because a lot of
dumb.
times I want to like, I literally want to read the shit out of people and kind of roast them a little bit too for some of the questions they ask, because they'll be like, I plain and simple, I usually just say like, you know, I don't eat any animal products. Like that in itself should pretty much sum it up for you. But then people will be like, "Do you eat eggs?" I'm like, "No, I don't fucking eat eggs." And then they'll go, and stop me if I'm wrong, they'll go, "But do you eat fish?" No, I don't understand. A fish is an animal. It's part of the animal kingdom. Like, I don't even kill. Like, listen, I know not everyone's as like crazy as some people like me are, but I'm the type of person, like, I catch spiders and I set them loose outside. Like, I will go out of my way to not step on a bug. Like, this is so embarrassing. Okay. I save the gnats that fly into my dog's water dish, okay?
Right, that's too much.
If they're
You've
moving
gone
around
too
in there
far.
and I see it, I will remove them from my dog's water dish.
And you just let them fly around your house?
I mean, yeah.
You're like, "Okay, take over my home, gnats." That's how vegan I am.
I mean,
level 13.
I mean, there's a certain amount of like gnats that just come from living in the city, and also they like plants. Like, they're drawn to like.
Do you have a fungus gnat problem? I have a fungus gnat issue in my life, and it's very stressful.
No, this got dark. My gnats do not have fungus, okay?
Well, no, that's what they're called when they're around your plants. If they're in your plants, they're not fruit flies. They're fungus gnats most likely. And they come, I could be wrong. I'm no plant expert. I'm no plant expert, though we're about to bring on a plant expert in a moment. But, you know, I believe their purpose is that they, like, when you have your soil gets like moldy, they eat the moldy soil, which is actually a good thing. But
how do you know this?
because I have a fungus gnat problem in my life, and they're very pervasive, and they were chilling for a while. Like I was doing well with them. They were keeping to themselves. I was keeping to myself, you know, we were living copacetically. And then I heard this trick a while ago that if you pour cinnamon on your plants, it deters them. Well, it totally deters them, but it also then makes them like fly at you all the time and like fly into your water and like fly into your tea every day. So like, yeah, they're not in my plants, but now they're just attacking me and they're still in the apartment. So I don't know if that trick works or not to the ability that I want it to. But I'm you're not going to like me, Sam. This is a non-vegan thing that I do, but I'm like a cat. I swat them out of the air. I do one of these whoosh, and I catch it and then I squish it and then I toss it. I do that every day. I'm trying to just get rid of them as much as I can.
All right, I'm gonna throw a scenario at you. You're in your closet, you see a moth, the kind of moth that like eats your clothes. What do?
Okay, did you know that moths don't actually eat your clothes, but it's
What?
the caterpillars of the moth?
What?
Moths, they don't have teeth like that. They can't eat your clothes. They
I
can't
always
eat your
thought
clothes.
moths were like murderers that were coming like gnaw on my clothing.
It's the caterpillar before it becomes a moth.
fucking caterpillars.
Fucking caterpillars, yeah. Yeah, so people say like clothes moths, but it's actually clothes caterpillars.
Okay. So if I see a moth, I should just leave it alone because it's fine.
Totally fine. Although it could be like laying eggs. We're now more, you know, then it's going to lay the eggs for the caterpillars.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
This got weird.
Don't let me continue talking about bugs. I could do it forever. I'm going to introduce our amazing guest, who I'm just beyond grateful that she has joined us today. We have the very talented Carleigh Bodrug. She is a plant-based food blogger who has simple, approachable vegan recipes for her audience of over 1 million followers across all platforms. Welcome, Carleigh.
You guys are fucking hilarious. Like, I'm dying over here. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
You are amazing. You are such a cool person. I have to say, I am what the kids call a stan. I am a stalker fan. I am a fan of yours. I just love everything that you put out on social media. I love your recipes. I've been following you for years. So I just want to say, you know, I got a fangirl out here for a second. I'm honored that you are joining us today. Thank you.
Sam, don't be ridiculous. I have been following you for years. Like, you were one of my first followers, and I was like, oh, this girl seems really cool, and now have just been like so addicted to your content. So I'm a stan as well. I'm a stan back.
Aww.
Oh my gosh, I'm all red.
There's so much love in this room.
There is love in this room.
Not for Jesse, though.
Yeah, not for our producer. He's not vegan. We don't like him.
Just kidding. We're not like that. It's a joke, people.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah, and actually, that's like, you know, I want you to tell us about Plant U, your platform, and the Plant Genie app, which just launched like last week, I believe.
Yes, so I am Plant U. Plant U is basically started as a plant-based recipe blog about probably 5 years ago when I first went plant-based and then vegan. And it has slowly grown from there. I definitely saw a need in the space for like simpler recipes, because I remember when I first went plant-based, I was super overwhelmed. And like, I remember going on Pinterest and just seeing all of these like Nourish bowls with like spiralized zucchini, carved avocados. And I was like, what the heck? I don't know how to eat this way. So I saw a need for sure for simple, approachable recipes, and obviously it took off from there. So over the years, it has developed. Most recently, I have a meal planning app called Plant Genie. So if anybody's listening, you can find it at plantgenieapp.com. And basically, I make content every day. So I make fun, approachable vegan recipe videos on my Instagram page, Plant U, and my TikTok page, Plant U, as well.
That is amazing. I truly love your recipes, and they really are exactly what you said, like easy and approachable. Even, you know, for myself being like an OG vegan, like I've been vegan 9 years, vegetarian for 4 years prior to that. And when I discovered your recipes, I was so enamored by them, because exactly what you said, I've been used to all of these. Okay, then you have to chop 84 vegetables and you have to do this all, and it's really complicated. You have to let it simmer, like marinate for 5 hours. Like one of my favorite recipes that you did is like a simple tempeh bacon. I make it all the time. My boyfriend's obsessed with it. And all other tempeh bacon recipes I had seen were like marinate overnight, marinate for 12 hours, marinate for an entire lifetime, marinate since the beginning of the pandemic. Like, it's a lot. And I don't have time to marinate for 45 hours. I'm like a busy woman. And so you have this, you're like, marinate for 5 minutes. Like, that's all you need. That's all you need.
I gotta tell you, there was like a lot of imposter syndrome in the first few years of blogging. And I mean, I still experience it massively because I have no culinary background, right? But I think in a way that makes it unique because literally I do not want to marinate something for more than 5 minutes. So it is quick, approachable plant-based recipes for regular people, which I consider myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Nobody wants to say, okay, there's like this big joke, right? Like, oh, this vegan recipe is so easy. You just have to like find this salt that was like housed by nuns in the Himalayas. Like, I don't know, all this, like, you have to go to this very specific, go to 12 different markets and get this one spice and crush it up in a mortar and pestle. It's just like not, it's not feasible for most people. Most people are busy. We're not all just sitting in our houses cooking anymore, especially now that the pandemic is mostly over, though I know in Canada, it might be a bit different as I say that out loud. I've been following your journey. So I know it may not be over the way that it is here. Kind of over. I say that, with quotes.
We're getting there. We're getting there in Canada too. Stuff is starting to open up. But I think also that's another reason that the recipes have come across as so approachable is we don't have like a Whole Foods near us. Like I'm going to just the regular grocery store every day and we don't have access to a lot of the items that even the vegan specialty items that people do in the United States. So I think also that comes across as simple and accessible in a way for most people.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I want to brag for you for a second, but I'm pretty sure that the Lizzo created one of your TikTok recipes and posted it on her channel. Is that right?
Yes, the veganized baked feta pasta. It was like a crazy moment. I love Lizzo too. She's amazing. So I was like freaking out. But
yeah, I was gonna say, how did that feel to have such a huge celebrity like recreate your recipe and sort of do that side by side post on her?
Yeah, so I went on TikTok and I just saw like there was like thousands of notifications and I'm like, what is happening? And then I saw the video come up and like just honestly surreal. Like it's Lizzo. So very out of body kind of like what is happening, but super cool. And she's since then done it to a lot of creators. And I just find that so kind. Like for her to blow these people up is just such a great thing. And I mean, she's also a great advocate for veganism and vegan food, having a platform of her size and talking about it. So I thought it was fantastic all around.
That is so cool. Like, I don't know. I freaked out that day too. I was like, oh my God, I'm like 1 degree separation from Lizzo.
That is pretty awesome.
That's how it feels.
It's cool. She is, she's something. She's funny on her platform too. Like I follow her on Instagram and TikTok and she's one of my favorites.
I love all those subtle like shades she constantly throws just like at everyone. It's amazing.
And she's always like shaking her bum. Like I just love it. Like when I go on my feed, I'm like, this is just what I needed today.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. 1 degree separation from Lizzo. It feels good. It feels like she's right here with us,
Basically.
You should have her on the podcast.
We're that close, Carleigh. We're that close. We're so close. I'm gonna be like, hey, remember that one recipe you did? She's like, I have no idea who you guys are. We'll be that famous one day, though. We're gonna look back on this in like many years when our podcast has blown up and we're in California and we're like, hey, Lizzo, remember that time we talked about you on our pod? That's me manifesting.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions for you, Carleigh. Like, how did you get the idea to start Plant You?
Yeah, so my dad as a kid had stage 2 colon cancer, which was quite traumatic because he went through the surgery, chemotherapy, and all this stuff. So anyways, fast forward to 2015 and news came out from the World Health Organization that red and processed meat were now considered class 2 and class 1 carcinogens. And at the time we had gone from my dad having this very severe colon cancer, chemotherapy, and just continuing to eat milk at dinner every night. Dinner was not complete without meat on the plate. And I remember at that time, my dad was just so angry because you guys don't have the Canada Food Guide, but on the Canada Food Guide, it literally says, like, you need to be having this much meat at night every night. You need to be having dairy products every night. And it's like, wow, the very thing that almost killed me, I just kept consuming. So anyways, basically overnight, we all kind of went plant-based. And I say kind of because it did take quite a bit. And over that period, I grew up on a hobby farm, so we had horses and chickens and tons of animals, always huge animal loving family. And you just start to make that connection that these animals you loved growing up are the exact same animals that are on your plate. And once you make that connection, you can't go back. And it almost like sickened me in a way. So I was working actually by myself up in Northern Ontario, Canada, as a radio host. And I started delving into this plant-based thing. And I was like, I need to tell everybody because, like, not only is it the best choice for our health, the animals, our environment, like, this is just a no-brainer. So I had a background in kind of communications and radio, and I said, what the heck, I'm going to start a blog. Started blogging the recipes, and I mean, the rest is a bit history. Like, it kind of blew up on Instagram to the point that I was able to leave my job in 2019, so just over 2 years ago now. And just has really been such a blessing. Like, I've made so many amazing connections in the vegan community, get to talk about veganism and plant-based eating every single day, which I'm just like massively passionate about. So that's how it all came about. The name itself, I mean, I wanted it to have the name plant in it. So I went to GoDaddy.com where you make URLs and literally made a million combinations of the word plant, and was so shocked when Plant You was available on both Instagram and as a URL. So I snagged it. Wish there was a better story, but there's not.
That was a great story.
Yeah. I mean, of the people always ask, how'd you come up with the name? And I'm like, oh, it was like just some combination of the word plant, but it's stuck. I really like it. So
It's adorable. I love that. And I love your story too. And something that you said, like, really like struck a chord with me, where you said that, you know, you immediately, you guys, your whole family switches to this plant-based diet due to your father's health. And you were doing it for everyone's health at that point. I think it just always makes me think, like, when you talk to another person that is not vegan about the health benefits of going vegan, like, we want to help y'all. Like, everyone that doesn't eat a vegan diet, we're not coming for you because we hate you or because we're pissed off at you. Like, we want to help you. Like, it's so crazy to, like, sometimes, and I know that vegans will totally resonate with this, like, you just sit there and you think, like, if you guys only, like, really took the time to sit and look at the data, look at the information, think about everything, like, really, really sit and think about it. Like, think about the process. Think about all the connections that process, like you were saying about the environment. Like, think about all the things that have to happen to get that meat on your plate and make it so easily accessible. Like, I say this to my husband all the time because I love him, but he is not vegan. He's like 99%. But I say to him, like, we'll be in the grocery store or something and I'm in the meat aisle and I'm like, look at all the meat that is in this store alone and that is just here right now, and look at how cheap it is. Do you understand how many animals have to be killed every single day to make meat this readily available and this cheap? It's garbage. Garbage is cheap. Have you not learned anything in this life, that you get what you pay for? If you're paying for fucking 20 chicken nuggets and they're $2, it's not even chicken. Like, did anyone see the shit going on with Subway and the tuna not being tuna?
I
Yes!
didn't. I missed that. Did that happen today?
It happened this week.
Oh,
apparently there's no DNA of tuna within the tuna sub. Like,
They can't identify it, Sam. Scientists can't identify it, Sam.
Wait, that is so weird.
Yes.
That is so weird. Also, that totally happened in an episode of Buffy, I'm just saying. That is so weird. That's
You know what always gets me is when people are like, oh my God, the fake meats are so gross. I'm like, what's gross? It's literally a plant. Like, it's plants. Like, what is gross?
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Like a hot dog is gross. A hot dog is made of assholes and eyelashes, right?
Hooves, tendons.
Yeah. Ugh, like whatever it's made. I don't know. I never ate that shit.
It's
but-
like literal buttholes. Like, not just saying that to talk shit. It is literal buttholes.
And we know that like eating buttholes is in vogue right now, but not in that way, you guys, okay? Not in that way. It's not cool.
I mean, yeah, do what you want, but like, don't eat another animal's asshole
That
in
animal
your
did
sandwich.
not
That's all we're
consent.
saying. That's all we're saying.
Only eat assholes of people that consent, okay? These animals cannot consent. We're not into this.
They would say no.
They would say no. Yeah. Wow. It's, wow. I did not hear that. I'm going to have to look that up because that's
Yeah.
absolutely hilarious. And I feel like that's some good material right there. You know,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
gold. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's so weird.
It's even gross to think about. Like, the thing that really got me was I was watching Forks Over Knives, and there was a doctor talking about how the cow's milk is meant to take like a baby cow to like a 1-ton animal. And it's like, we're just ingesting this my mom was adamant, like, you need this, you're gonna have braille bones if you don't drink the milk every night. And it's like, it's growth formula for a cow to turn into a full grown massive animal. And it's like, how on earth can we as humans like wrap our heads around drinking that every day? Like, it makes no sense. And it drives me crazy when people are like, oh, milk is great for you. I'm like, what do you, like, to me, that sounds insane.
It does. It does sound crazy to me too. And when you hear even doctors telling people like, oh, you have to give your baby cow milk formula, you know, like,
Yep.
you know, if you're not breastfeeding, whatever, there's all these options, but like, yeah, you have to, this is it. Or like when they're, I guess not formula, let's post breastfeeding, because there's a lot of debate about that. But let's say post breastfeeding, when they're like toddlers, they do not need to be they're not consuming breast milk at that point. They don't need to be consuming anyone's breast milk at that point, let alone the breast milk you stole.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, logically, it makes no sense.
Yeah. What also doesn't make sense is that if everyone that like swears on dairy milk would just try some of the other plant-based milk, I guarantee you that you would like at least one of them, because there's like 10 at this point. And I get so frustrated. That's like one thing where I'm like, you still drink regular milk? Like, I feel like that's a thing that like not even meat eaters do anymore. Like, why are you still drinking regular milk? It's such an easy thing to transition. Like, if you're going to start anything today, like you're listening to this and you're like, okay, what is one thing I can do moving forward to kind of lessen my massive destruction on the planet? You can stop drinking cow's milk and supplement it with a plant-based milk. There you
Yeah.
go.
That was actually a question I was wondering about for you, Carleigh. Like, do you have advice for people who want to go vegan? I know you talk about this a lot on your platform about like not being perfect, you know, and sort of like breaking this idea that in order to be vegan, you have to be a perfect vegan, which Sam and I, we are perfect vegans. I just want to say that. And we, you know, we will attack anyone who's not a perfect vegan. So we're not as kind as you are. But you are very kind. And I feel like you always talk about how, look, if you're doing 99% veganism, like you're doing great, and you don't need to feel like if you're not perfect, you're not in the club, right? And so what's your advice for new vegans or people who want to go vegan?
For sure. It's just, in my experience, like, in a perfect world, we would all be able to just snap and go vegan overnight. In my experience, dealing with thousands of people who like are wanting to dip their toes in, that's usually not how it goes. And I think one of the issues is that I think one of the problems, the barriers to that, is that people feel like they're not accepted into the vegan community. They don't need to call themselves vegan, but I think maybe the judgment is like, why even try them? So I always suggest people start by looking at what they're eating during the week as a meat eater. Look at their day-to-day menu. Maybe they have cereal in the morning. Maybe they have pasta with like a bolognese sauce at night. Easy swap that Sam talked about. Swap your milk out for an almond milk. bolognese pasta, swap the meat out for lentils, and start looking at how you can make simple swaps in your regular food for plant-based ones, because that won't be as much of a shock to your system and to your life. I would try like a couple of days a week at first, and then once you get the hang of it, then you go like full vegan mode. If you want to go full in, I'm like, all power to you. I think that's incredible. I also think one of the issues, like there is a bit of toxic veganism that I have experienced just having a platform, is that we get down really into the nitty gritty of like people saying, oh, your avocados aren't vegan or your almond milk's not vegan. And it's like, yes, like nothing is without cruelty, but we just need to approach this with less judgment, because we need as many people, in my opinion, going at least plant-based as possible in order to turn it around for the animals and the environment, because it's a shit show. Like, environmentally, it's a shit show. And then when you think about the animals, like I had a conversation with my friends the other day, and they were talking about how cruel zoos are. And none of my friends are vegan. And I had to point out to them, I'm like, well, if you think the zoos are cruel, like look at what we're doing in factory farms. I said, it's just like, it's literally you take what you envision hell as and put that, and that is a factory farm. So I just think people need to start making that connection, and the more we kind of approach it with judgment, the less willing people are to even talk about it.
1,000%. You are correct. And also, for the record, I just want to say that Sam and I are not perfect vegans. That was a joke. We actually have a lot of conversations together where we talk about, like, you know, like you were saying, you can't be perfect. Like, Sam and I both still wear like vintage leather, old leather. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to throw away anything that I already owned. Like, I have a lot of leather items, and it does nobody any good for me to just throw those items away. Like, who am I helping in that situation? Like, shoes, that sort of thing. Like, we talk about this all the time. And there's, you know, honey is another, like, you know, highly debatable thing or whatever. But, you know, we're kind of all on the same page here that you don't have to be perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best that you can for your particular situation and trying to eliminate the animal products as best you can for your situation.
Yeah, I find it really discouraging when I see like these kind of comments that are really judgmental and kind of patrolling and gatekeeping, because at the end of the day, it's to what point? Like, are you just trying to defend your ego in the term veganism, or do you actually care about what's happening with our environment and the animals, to your point of the recycled leather? Like, what is the point of getting rid of that? You might as well use it until it's no longer usable rather than throwing it away. So yeah, we get caught up in the minutia, and I think it causes more harm than good. But you don't want to go too far the other way, right? Like, I've definitely been critiqued, and it's opened up my eyes when people are like, well, you don't want to like frame it in such a non-judgmental way that people aren't open to hearing from animal activists that are kind of like on the front line. So that's opened my eyes up to the other side of that too, because there's both perspectives.
Not everyone is a person who wants to be like, did you see what happened to this pig? Have you seen what happens to the chickens? You know, like, here's a picture of them dying. Like, you know, I'm visualizing the Cube of Truth people who do that. Why am I blanking on who they are? Whatever.
Anonymous?
Yeah. I guess
those are computer hackers.
It's like the vegans who do it. Anyway, whatever they're called. But they do these little cubes of truth. I'm blanking on their name. And they would, like, you know, they like stand around in circles with the Anonymous mask on.
I know.
And they show pictures of death, and like, it's just not my thing, you know? Like, there's so many ways to be an activist or to spread the message. If some people want to do that, you know, freeing the animals and getting arrested and, you know, all of that, like, that's one way. That's never going to be my way personally. And I think, you know, I guess I wonder, like, how do you deal with the haters and the people who, I feel like you get a lot of hate. You have a huge platform. So anyone with any size platform is going to get, like, you know, trolls. And I just wonder, I feel like you handle them with grace.
No, like, I do not handle them with grace. I've been called out so many times. People are like, you are so sensitive. And I'm like, you try getting like bombarded by people. And if you ask my fiance, he'd be like, she's the worst. Like these comments really get me down. So I wish I had advice like on how to deal with trolls. I guess where it really hurts is when like other vegans are coming at me and it's like, oh, like they're not seeing my perspective. And like I said before, perhaps I should be more open to like a more extremist view as well. So I don't deal with them well. I want to like fight them. Like I want to come back at them. And like my instinct is like, I need to have the last say here. So like my advice to anyone is if somebody is being upfront really rude and abrasive and you know that they have like a really bad perspective of you, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a good protocol just to block, because from my experience, engaging with these people does not end with like them suddenly coming to the light.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that you think I deal with it gracefully.
I do. I think you do. And even if you're just blocking, that is a graceful way of dealing with it, because you're not, I'm sure it does, it gets us all down. And I'm sorry to hear that. And fuck all the haters out there. Carleigh's amazing. I just want to say that. If you're hating on her, Sam and I are going to attack you. Carleigh won't do it, but we will do it for her. I'm looking in the camera right now.
The Philly will come out.
We will. We're from Philly.
Don't fuck with Philly.
I don't know if you've ever been to Philly in the United States and Pennsylvania. We have like a rep for being really tough, so we will kick someone's butt for you if you need. I'm just letting you know. But yeah, I do feel like you handle it with grace. And I mean, of course, having such a huge platform, you're going to get people coming from all different perspectives, whether they're vegan, whether they're not, just wanting to troll. There's no other word for it. Is really, I think it's a really like a troll situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing that does help me like kind of sleep at night if I got some bad comments is like at the end of the day, you have to wonder what frame of mind someone needs to be in to comment on something negative on a stranger's post, like something genuinely mean. I can't even fathom doing that. So if you kind of go through that thought period, it's like, okay, this person is obviously in a poor mental state. And I kind of am like wishing them good energy after I get over my immediate reaction to like, ah.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I feel like no matter whenever you're putting out content, people think that they have a right. I mean, of course, anyone has a right to comment, whatever. But, I think people feel like they have a right to tell you what to do and how to live your life and how to feel. And exactly like you said, you can argue with people all day long, especially on the internet, and they're never going to come around to seeing it from your perspective. And so you just gotta trim the fat at that point. Yeah. Were you going to say something, Sam Dub?
I was just going to bring up how you and so I forget how I got to this point, but I'm just like you, Carleigh. I will come for people. Like, I will leave comments. I get those notifications from like Instagram or Facebook or maybe both, where you start to type something and you hit send, and then it's like, do you really want to send this? Like, this is hate speech. Like, this sounds like another comment that we deleted. And like, sometimes I'm like strong enough to check myself and I'll like delete it and then I'll move on. And sometimes I'm not. So recently I saw this post that I obviously tagged Sam on, and she chimed in later. So this post was, and this is just me being that awful troll that you described, but
not to vegans.
But so the post was basically saying that like everyone should eat more red meat, and like red meat is super healthy for you, and like meat, like this fucking what was she was like a
child. She called herself the leading child psychiatrist
or
something. I don't know
leading
but she had like 12,000 followers, so I don't think she's like leading the world in child psychiatry, just in my opinion.
Maybe exactly. But so we started going back and forth, and then the guy who posted it started going back and forth. I ended up getting posted on both of their fucking stories, so thanks for the free publicity, because they both had like a high following. But they were like coming for me. They were like, oh, blah blah blah, well, you can have your opinions, yada yada yada. I'm like, it's not my opinion. Like, you're telling people false information. Like, nutrition is one of the most poorly studied subjects in the United States. We don't know shit about anything, that's a fact, but we especially don't know shit about nutrition and food. We are the most obese country, most unhealthy country. I'm sure you guys literally laugh at us all fucking day from up there, and that's fine. I would do it too, but like, we're a mess. Like, come on. And so, yeah, we went back and forth. Then
Yeah,
Sam chimed
I
in.
chimed in. I defended. They were attacking my girl. She sent it to me and I hopped on and I gave them a really sarcastic. I was like, thank God someone was brave enough to talk about the benefits of meat. I was like, you are so subversive. And what would people do without you just causing so much heart disease? People just wouldn't be able to survive without you causing their heart disease, you know? And they like thanked me. I don't think they understood I was being sarcastic. Like I gave them like obvious sarcasm, you know?
You talked about like animal shit for like a second.
Yeah.
Something. What did you say?
I don't. A paragraph. Who knows what I said?
It was
Sam.
rather long.
It was rather long. Yeah. And then the guy whose post it was like, "Thank you so much. We agree about the benefits of meat eating."
It's so funny you guys bring this up because literally yesterday, this guy, I don't even know his handle. I think it's like the Carnivore MD. He stitched one of my videos of making like a vegan ham, which was like a bad recipe of mine to begin with. So I was like, not that one. And he's there cutting his like red meat with this knife, and all of these carnivore people are in the comments saying like that I'm mentally ill, blah 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 blah. And then this one girl comments, I used to follow her and she talked about how she's going prematurely gray. I wonder why, because I have gray hairs coming in. And I'm like, people will literally take anything you say about your physical, mental health, whatever, and blame it on your vegan diet.
Yeah.
Like my mom went gray at 20, ate all the meat. Don't come at me. And then of course, like I comment that and she blocks me. I'm like, well, stop conflating like something completely unrelated. But that's just so funny that you guys would bring that up because I was fired up. I was like, but how can you win in that situation? You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
You still gotta try though, am I right?
You have to try. But yeah, I feel like there's this big like push right now that I'm seeing for people talking about, and I forget, it was that person that we were just discussing and someone else I just saw yesterday. I think another vegan was like making fun of them. I don't remember. But there's this push I'm seeing for people talking about how, oh, it's not that all meat is bad. It's just that factory farmed meat is bad. And so if you eat grass-fed meat, which nobody eats, everyone thinks they eat that, you know, but nobody's literally.
Same with cage-free eggs. Like,
what does that mean?
That's not a thing. Like I can get some chickens, sell them to a grocery store, slap a label on them that says cage-free eggs, and no one fucking monitors that shit. Like anyone I don't know how it is up in Canada, but in the US, you can pretty much put anything on your food and it doesn't have to be true, and no one cares here.
It's the same here. And it is discouraging because you always hear, oh, I like ethically source my meat. And I'm like, that's fine if you do that. Like, I don't even, you're wrong that it's ethical, but also like the fact that it's not accessible to any normal human being, and you're like perpetuating that this is exactly like you need to be buying the grass-fed beef is a whole other thing that bothers me too, because it's like you're saying this is the right meat, this is the only meat that's good. Well, like who can even afford that anyways?
Yeah.
Right. It's not affordable or accessible, and it's really not available the way that people perceive it to be. You know, everyone thinks that they're like going to like the butcher and then it's like the person who, you know, who killed the cow, and that's not how that works, you know?
Yeah.
We're not in like Italy in 1920. Like that's not how that works.
Also, please someone tell me, what is fresh meat? How is that a thing? I don't understand, because to me, a fresh apple is an apple that I pick off the fucking tree and I bite into it. That's a fresh apple. What is fresh meat? Okay, spoiler alert, when you buy beef, it came from a cow. That cow got its throat slit or electrocuted or shot in the head or a million other things, horrible fucking things that we do to animals, died a miserable death, bled out, got like skinned, then its limbs hacked up, put into a freezer, sent somewhere else, sent to the butcher, then you buy it from the butcher, then you could please tell me how that's fresh.
Right.
Or ethical in any way. Like when people say it's ethically killed or whatever, like how?
It doesn't exist.
Right. If people had to do it themselves, like slit the throat of a pig or a cow that they had to chase down in a field, they wouldn't eat meat. You know,
exactly.
They just wouldn't. Like people are always like, oh, you take your kids to like apple picking. You don't take them to the slaughterhouse, right? Why?
Not only would they not eat meat, they would not be eating meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like they would be hunting a buffalo that you get maybe once a month because that's what you're capable of getting, and you would like have a small amount of meat. Like it's just out of control. That's a whole other thing. Like we're just consuming so many animal products on a daily basis. It's so bad for our health, so bad for the environment. It irks me clearly.
No, us too. I mean, one thing that people always talk about, which I know you are also very knowledgeable on and passionate about, is soy. All right, let's talk about soy for a second. Everyone's
do
like,
it.
let's do it. You know, people are like, don't eat soy. It has estrogen in it. It's going to make you grow boobs. And if you eat soy, you're killing the environment because it takes up all of this land. And can you school everyone on soy, Carleigh?
Well, first of all, the estrogen in soy is not the same estrogen that is present in our bodies, that like the estrogen female hormone. So first of all, it doesn't even equate. Like it's not even a concern unless you're eating. I had a doctor on my podcast to talk about this, and he had all the research in front of him. Like I'm certainly not a doctor, but he said you would have to be eating like 5 things of tofu a day, 5 blocks of tofu a day for it to even impact your hormones whatsoever. And in fact, eating soy regularly actually lowers estrogen in most people, as well as lowers the chances of breast cancer. So people talking about how soy causes breast cancer, it's actually the opposite. And it's one of the most studied foods ever because it is so health promoting. I always give the example of like everybody's so concerned about the health implications of soy. Well, look at Asian countries where life expectancies are some of the longest in the world, and traditionally they have eaten soy at almost every single meal. Now that they've introduced more westernized food, the age expectancy and the disease rates are actually increasing. So is it the soy? No. Second of all, this thing bothers me more than anything when people say that me eating tofu is bad for the environment. It is the craziest thing I've ever heard because 70% of soy crops grown are used to feed the animals that you guys are eating anyways. So don't come at me about how bad soy is because you're getting it anyways. You're just getting it in a roundabout way. And I think the human consumption of soy is like such a small percent. Don't quote me, but I think something like 5%. So, I mean, if we got rid of the land animals, it's obvious that the soy production could be slashed by like 80%, and we would not have the issue of the Amazon forest being cleared out so that we can continue feeding these massive amounts of animals for like a small cut of beef. Like nothing drives me more crazy. It's always the comment like, oh, your tofu is like costing the Amazon. I'm like, no, your meat is costing the Amazon, and you're still eating tofu, by the way, because it's being fed to your animals that you're eating. Drives me nuts.
Literally, start tagging me and stuff. I'll come back you up. Like we'll be like an army. No, but seriously, I feel like that's something that a lot of vegans get frustrated with. And I think another thing too is when people come at you, and I'm sure you can school people on this too. People come at you and they're like, oh, well, you're vegan, you won't get protein if you don't eat meat. Like, bitch, do you realize that the animal that you just ate that you claim is full of protein got their protein from the plants that they ate previously before it was murdered? You know that, right? Like, you know that, right? And they don't know that, Carleigh. They don't know that, or they don't care. It's one of the two.
The thing that kills me too is like I spent the first 20 years of my life, I went to doctors, multiple doctors as a kid because I was massively constipated. Like I would go to the washroom once a week, and to the point my doctor put me on laxatives. Well, I suddenly start eating a plant-based diet. All of my constipation and digestive issues go away. What was it? Lack of fiber. 90% of the American population is fiber deficient,
Oh my
yet
God.
nobody is protein deficient. Like vegetarians on average get 70% more than the daily recommended intake of protein without trying, because every single plant contains protein, and we don't need nearly as much as we have been like peddled by protein powder companies and the media, meat and dairy industries. So it's just crazy, like the cognitive dissonance, I don't know what to call it, but the way people twist things to fit their narrative to continue eating animal products is just astounding from a vegan's point of view, because the data is there. Like 90% of people are fiber deficient. No one is protein deficient. So why is protein all that we talk about? Kills me.
You literally couldn't have said that better. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that should be on like a wall somewhere, like written on a document.
That's the clip we'll use for Instagram. That
Literally.
was really good. That was so good. Wow. Yeah. You put it so succinctly too. And with, so much knowledge and fact behind it. It's, I could be like, come on, it's all good for you. But really, I think that's when we sort of move away from this like skinny hippie, not that I'm skinny, but I'm just saying the skinny hippie like idea of like, this is what a vegan is, versus all of these like, vegan people that we have these days, right? Like I just watched Game Changers for the first time. I don't know why it took me so long to watch it. I'm vegan. I didn't need to be like convinced or anything, but I'm like, I get it. But I mean, they had just like so much interesting factoids in there about meat consumption, and just, it's exactly what you said. The information, as I'm butchering, I'm trying to recap what Carleigh said. She said it. I should just shut up. She said it great. I'm done.
We should just
I'm
end.
done.
Like,
That's
just mic drop. Bye.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Meat is so tied to masculinity too, right? That's why Game Changers, I think, was like a really groundbreaking film, because men are the hardest to break away from
Anything.
And there's fear, right? Like there's fear that if they start eating soy, they're going to turn into, like, the term is soy boy. Like, I think that men are the hardest. So I hope that we continue seeing men advocating. I mean, Nimai Delgado on Instagram is a great person to follow, because he's like literally the most muscular person I follow on Instagram, and he's vegan and been vegetarian his whole life, never eaten meat. So it just goes to show. I think the doctor I had on said that you can build muscle just as efficiently on a plant-based diet as opposed to a non-plant-based diet, which was interesting to me, because I even catch myself thinking like, oh, I'm going to have trouble building muscle because I'm vegan. But it's literally like we have been conditioned to think that for some reason, because people are so scared.
It's the same people that don't realize that the people that are putting the got milk commercials on TV is the dairy industry. And people don't get that at all. They don't make the connection whatsoever. And also, just really quickly, I love the term soy boy. That is amazing. Can we put it on t-shirts, like copyright? Like, can this be our thing? That is adorable.
There's nothing hotter than a guy who's vegan.
Yes.
Like, honestly, like a guy who's in tune with their compassion for animals, put the soy boy on a t-shirt.
Yes.
The amount of girls that guy's gonna get.
It's so true. Anytime I meet a guy who's vegan, I mean, I'm not single now, but anytime I meet a guy, right? And whenever I meet a vegan guy, not that I'm looking for him, but I go, "Are you single?" I'm not asking for myself, but I have all these vegan girlfriends, and they're all single, and they are dying for vegan men. And it's like my boyfriend is not vegan. I have to say this. I have to admit it. He's not vegan.
Mine isn't either. Like, what the hell?
What is her husband either? But they, I'm sure that they're all like very similarly open.
Plant-based.
Yeah, they're very open to like what we're eating, and and like I watched Game Changers with my boyfriend last week, and then right afterwards he goes, "I think I'm gonna get some tofu when we go to the market this weekend."
Tofu's so delicious. Can we all agree that tofu has such a bad rap? Like, everyone always assumes that tofu is gonna be like tasteless and bland, and it's stupid and hard to cook, and everyone hates it, and fuck tofu. And I'm like, yeah, tofu is bland and it sucks if you don't do anything with it. It pretty much assumes the flavors of whatever you want. So it's literally endless to cook with. And it's really easy to cook with.
Think of a bland chicken breast. Like, is there literally anything worse? Like, how can you think tofu is gross? And I mean, you can prepare it in the exact same way, and the tofu is better every time, because you're not biting into, like, I don't know about you guys, but everybody's always like, oh, like, don't you miss meat? And I'm like, the thought of biting into flesh at this point is literally like, I would need to be paid so much money to do it. Like it makes me nauseous to think about it. But it's interesting how you get that way after you've been removed from it for a while.
Yeah. Right. And I don't think I ever enjoyed it the way that other people did. You know,
Right.
like I was always freaked out by meat. Like I would never want to like eat a chicken wing.
That was the worst.
Or
With
a
the bone right
rib.
there, with the bones
bone-
on them.
I was like, I have bones.
You're like, these people scrape their teeth like like. Did you ever see someone eat like a chicken wing and they like stick the whole thing in their mouth so their like teeth are literally grazing like the actual chicken bone? And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, it's so nasty. It's so nasty. Anyway, don't even get me started on how disgusting meat is. You all are gross. If you're a meat eater, we don't like you. You know, this is disgusting. No,
We
I'm just
do,
kidding.
though. We do,
We're
though.
very supportive. Follow.
We're with you
all
on
of
this
us.
journey.
Yeah, we're
We
here
do
with
like you. Please keep listening.
You don't have to be perfect for us to like you. We were just kidding. But Carleigh, one thing that you mentioned talking about is like the difference between plant-based and vegan. What's your take on the difference between plant-based and vegan? I'm definitely like, I call myself a vegan. I've been OG vegan, but I feel like all the things I used to call myself are no longer cool, you know? Like you can't be vegan. You got to be plant-based now. You know, I just have to like redo my tattoo or whatever. And like, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna redo my tattoo. But yeah, what do you consider the difference between plant-based and vegan?
I actually think they're completely different things. So to me, plant-based originated in the health community and speaks to a diet that's made up of primarily plants. To me, someone who eats a little bit of meat could still be plant-based, like literally the term plant-based. I think it really came to like fruition from like Dr. T. Colin Campbell and probably popularized by Forks Over Knives, just this plant predominant way of eating, whereas veganism speaks to a moral guide of how you approach your life in every facet, not wanting to participate in cruelty to animals as much as you can. So that includes like your makeup, how you carry yourself day to day, the food you eat, everything in your day-to-day life, right? So I always say to people that I'm both plant-based and vegan. So I morally am vegan, and I also eat a plant-based diet. Again, you could be vegan and not be plant-based, which is amazing too. So like you could eat Oreos all day and still be vegan.
Bam.
Oh, sorry, Oreos are the palm oil. You could eat fast food veggie burgers all day and still be vegan, but maybe some people wouldn't consider you plant-based. So that's like, I see them as completely separate things. I do find it difficult on my channel because I'm speaking to both of them, but whenever anybody asks, I just make sure to drive home that like plant-based does not mean vegan and vegan does not mean plant-based, in my opinion.
I agree.
Jinx! Double jinx!
Triple jinx! You owe me Monster vegan food.
I am buying Monster Vegan tonight. We both decided it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Speaking of not being plant-based, we're gonna get this vegan chicken tonight.
But would you consider yourself plant-based?
I guess I wouldn't use that term. Sam.
I am.
Yeah, I was saying when you were talking, Sam joked because she like called my name out. She was like, Sam, when you said eats Oreos every day. First of all, I don't fucking eat Oreos every day. Just want to say that out loud. I rarely eat an Oreo. Usually it's when people buy it for me thinking, oh, I got you this vegan thing. I'm like, thanks. You know, I have to like be polite about it. But like, I don't buy Oreos. I just want to say that out loud, Sam, for the record.
It's still better than meat. So if you want to eat Oreos over meat, then go for it.
Yeah, but
That's
no.
how I feel too.
Yeah, but I would definitely consider myself vegan. I think when I first started, I was very much like, I'm plant-based and I'm going to do everything the healthiest and the best. And I'm going to get everything's organic and I'm going to, you know, shuck my own chickpeas. And I don't know, I'm going to do all the things, you know, and I was like really intense about it and really obsessive. And I was like, didn't feel like mentally good. And I also, at that point when I first went vegan, I didn't know how to eat all of the nutrients I needed. But it's funny you ask it because during the pandemic, I was definitely like, you know, I was sad, right? We're all sad. And so I wasn't eating like any sort of like healthy plant-based, you know, food. I was just like, all right, I'm going to eat the vegan chicken nuggets. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to get that. I just was sad. You know, I was sad. And, actually I was listening to your podcast, Carleigh, the Plant Pod, which we'll talk about in a second. I want to ask you a question about it. And you had this episode about brain health. You had these folks who were science researchers, I believe, and they were talking about Alzheimer's and all of the things that you can do. Not that you know, if you're so far gone and having Alzheimer's, you can't reverse it. But there's things that you could do to help, you know, potentially prevent it or help your, you know, stimulate your brain health. And one of the things they mentioned was turmeric. And I'm like, yeah, of course. And I realized I have it sitting in my drawer and like I never use it. And I'm not like cooking in the way that I used to, you know, pre-pandemic. Just because I was like, really, I was sad. And for the past like maybe month and a half, I don't know, something like that, I've been like back on my cooking game. I'm eating beans every day and I'm making tofu every morning and like, well, you know, every 3 mornings, whatever. I'm meal prepping, Carleigh. I thought you'd be proud of me. And you know, it's like all of a sudden, like exactly what you said about the fiber and like having, you know, whether you're constipated. For me, I have the opposite. I've got IBS-D, so I'm like always going to the bathroom. And ever since I started eating my beans every day and my tofu every day, I'm having, let me just say, the best shits of my life.
All right, that's enough of that.
Sam does not like the poop conversation, so she's going to cut it short. But let me just say, I feel that like just physically it feels better than I have felt in years. And I feel like I've definitely been in a funk with like, okay, what, or, you know, for the past like year, I say years because the pandemic felt like a lifetime, but really just during the pandemic, I just wasn't on my like game. I wasn't eating my vegetables. I wasn't eating my rice. And, you know, now I'm making yellow rice with turmeric. I'm popping turmeric on everything. I'm like, a little turmeric here, a little turmeric there. Can't hurt.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. I'm healthy. I'm popping turmeric everywhere. That makes me plant-based now. So,
I mean, I definitely consider myself plant-based. I'm one of those vegans that's like, I'm truly vegan for like all the things. Like I'm truly vegan for my health. I'm truly vegan for the environment. I'm truly vegan for the animals. I don't know. Is there another one? I'm vegan for all the fucking things. Okay.
Did you say the environment?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I spaced out for a second.
But I'm definitely plant-based. I am really into health in general. I'm like the person that like, I carry like a little container of like chia seeds with me and like little flax seeds, and then I put them on all my food and I try and get them in every day. But I can't even take credit for the way that I eat and how I have looked at food differently now. Even in like the past 3 years, even though I've been vegan for about 5, but in the past 3 years, I think is when I really went plant-based, and I owe it all to a book I read that I actually listened to on an audiobook, which I recommend over reading it because it has a lot of big words you won't be able to pronounce yourself. So it's better if someone just does it for you. But the book was How Not to Die. And I know that that is really well known, I think, in the Philadelphia area because Dr. Greger like hangs out in this area and has like dated one of my friends and like knows a lot of like people in this area. But honestly, truly, that book changed my life. There was so much information in there that I had no idea. Basically, it tells you how you can use food to work for your body and to fuel your body and to prevent your body from getting disease. That's like the whole thing. Obviously, everyone's going to die. Like, let's not even go there. But it tells you how to eat to push the process off, like to not get disease. And if you haven't read it, you definitely should. It's amazing. Have you read that or have any
Oh, one of the first books I read, love him, went to see him speak last year in Florida, and he mentioned he was being set up by during his talk. I met him after. I didn't talk to him about his dating life. We're not buddies. But he mentioned he was being set up by like some celebrity like dating person. Do you have a Michael Greger dating story? Like we need to hear it.
I don't, but one of Sam and I's mutual friends does.
Yeah.
We'll have to have her on so she can tell us about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, is she public about her dating experience? She said it was fine.
Well, I'm not going to call her out, but...
Yeah. But yeah,
Are they not together anymore?
It was very brief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. They're like, listen, we only have like 2 vegans in this world. Like there's like 2 vegan men and we're all like clawing for them. Like it doesn't matter how old they are, how bald they are.
It's so true.
You know, we're like, oh my God, he's vegan and a doctor? Score.
He checks my boxes. I don't know.
Does he check your? I don't think he checks my boxes, but that's just me. No offense.
I only have the 2.
Dr. Grega, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Vegan and doctor was enough to close it up for me.
I feel like as a Jewish woman, I never wanted to date a doctor because that was like, you're Jewish, you're going to date a doctor or a lawyer. Like, no, I'm not. That's not happening. It's not my life. So I was like, I'll go the opposite.
I was told the opposite. Samantha, you must marry a doctor. You must make lots of money that you don't actually make yourself because you'll just be a housewife. Polar opposite.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Carleigh, can you tell us a little bit about the Plant Pod? Your amazing podcast that I'm totally obsessed with. I loved every episode. I just want to say that. It was amazing.
I feel like it's so not funny like this. Like, this is a podcast I aspire to be like. This is so funny. So I started the Plant Pod, I think in January, and it's basically just about like plant-based healthy living. I have guests on for each episode that are like health experts. So like you said, I had like a soy debunking. I had a brain health episode. It's just been really cool. It's been so fun to connect with people on that level. And because I used to work in radio, I definitely missed it. And it allows me a chance to kind of delve back into that world. We've been on a 2-week hiatus as I launched the app, but I'm coming back next week. So
good.
Yeah.
I keep checking. I'm like, okay, she's doing things. I know she's busy.
Yeah.
She launched an app. I'm ready for a new epi. It's going to happen. It's
oh
like
my gosh,
one of my
that
favorites.
makes me so happy.
Yeah. And I really love that you, I feel like you're not afraid to talk about subjects that are taboo or like, you know, you had an episode about birth control. I sent it to Sam.
She did.
I sent it to all my
Yeah,
friends,
the
actually.
panel.
That was a great one. That was really
That's
informative.
Scares me, yeah.
Yeah. And so many people ask about it, whether they're vegan or not. I think so many women are just like considering going off birth control and considering what the effects are. And I've sent that around to like so many people. And I've had so many people say they really enjoyed it, Sam included,
Yeah.
who just went off birth control.
I did go off birth control, so I had no idea what to expect. But yeah, I was on it for like over 20 years, and it was to the point where I was like, all right, I think I've been on this long enough. I think it's time to give my body a break. But it's one of those things, like, it's like you just do it. Like I just started it, and then I just did it, and I didn't give it another thought, and it just kept going and going. And literally before I knew it, I was on it for 20 fucking years. And then I was like, you know, I wonder why or how my body would function without it. And it got to the point where I was on the birth control so long that I completely stopped getting my period, and I was trying to get it, and it just wasn't happening. So literally I stopped it about a month ago, like exactly, and I got my period this week. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so
It's
it just goes
scary,
to
eh?
show. Yeah, it's like, okay, why wasn't I getting it? Like, what was going on inside of me that my body, like, when this stopped, it was functioning normally?
Do you feel different?
I feel, yeah, it's a weird description of, I feel hornier definitely than I did when I wasn't on it. I definitely like, I guess I should definitely just say it now that it's Pride Month now. I don't know if it will be when we release this episode, but Sam and I are both bisexual. So I've been noticing like women a lot, and I'm like, remember I hit on your neighbor? I'm like, hey, and I'm like, wait, I'm married. Fuck. But yeah, I've been noticing that.
Sorry, they say your orientation can actually change, which is fucked because we go on it so young. They say your
Wait, what?
What?
Yes, they say your sexual orientation. I think it was covered in a book, Your Brain on Birth Control, that your orientation can actually shift off of the pill. Because I was
Am I
16
gay?
when I went on it.
Are you going to leave
Am
your
I
husband?
gay now?
Are we going to get married?
Because I was bi before. Am I gay now?
Yes. You're definitely, birth control made you hetero.
I'm probably pretty close, yeah. But yeah, that's crazy. I did not hear anything like that.
I never heard that. That's wild. And that's so interesting that you just brought that up without knowing this. We did not plan this, everyone. I swear this was organic.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
always
Like,
organic.
it's always organic. But that's so interesting that you just like brought that up. And Carleigh's like, here, I got a fact for you. Boom.
Yeah, we're going to fucking destroy the internet. Like, seriously. Everyone watch out. Trolls, watch out.
Watch out, trolls. We are not.
Our squad is deep.
We got people. We got Lizzo on our side, okay? Lizzo. You don't mess with Carleigh. She's got Lizzo. How could you even?
You can't.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I feel like I have one last formal question. I've asked you all my formal questions. I didn't forget any. I wrote them down. I kept checking like I did Check.
You did
I'm
the thing.
proud of myself.
Yep.
But one thing that you have that's upcoming, which is really exciting, is that you're releasing your very first cookbook.
Yes. This isn't public yet, but like I keep telling people.
Should I not have brought it up?
No, we're totally good. Everybody knows. I just haven't like publicly said it, so maybe don't make it the screen grab on the podcast promotion.
You got it.
But yes, I have a cookbook coming out in January 2022. I cannot tell you the publishing process of a cookbook is crazy. So I signed the cookbook deal back in 2019.
Wow.
And worked on it for the full first year of the pandemic. The manuscript's been submitted for like close to a year. So now like I finally got it back last week to go through like the final kind of check through. It's sick. Like I can't wait. It's 140 plant-based beginner recipes, also oil-free for anybody who is interested in that. But yeah, I'm pumped. I'm so excited. It's like crazy to see it starting to come to fruition. So I'll be announcing it soon anyways, but it comes out in January 18th, 2022.
Yes, congratulations. I'm excited. We're both going to buy it. I know Sam was going to buy it regardless of anything. But I'm pumped to hear too that you said it's like for beginners too, because let me tell you, I bought the How Not to Die cookbook. I'm never going to make any of that shit. Okay? For the record, that is like shit you get at like a 5-star French like vegan restaurant like on the Eiffel Tower rooftop. Like what? Like no one has time for this. It was way too much, Carleigh. Like have you seen it? It's too much for me.
I haven't seen his cookbook, but I was gonna buy it.
No, don't. Don't. I respect it. It's just too much.
So Sam will remember this, but like my Instagram account blew up back in the day, like 2 years ago. But from these infographics, they had like little photos of each ingredient that goes in the recipe. So this is literally the concept of the cookbook, because I'm like, it needs to be visually really easy. I know we can't display this on here, but I promise you it is like so beginner friendly. That's what I'm most excited about, because I think it will help people kind of in their transition to plant-based.
That's perfect, because here like a lot of red states can't read, so like they can only process picture books. So like it's really good. You don't even like need words for that area of the country. Like just put the pictures there and that's fine.
Sam, is that why I liked it so much? Because I'm an idiot who doesn't read. I mean, like I can read. I'm not like
this
illiterate.
is a red state. This is
Just to be
technically
clear, I'm
a
not
red
illiterate.
state. I mean, it's just fact.
But like Sam's she's like an avid reader. Sam Dubb here is an avid reader. She's like a brilliant genius, and I am like a moron.
True.
I'm just like, oh, I like read like Instagram and like
You read memes.
I read memes and Instagram captions, and yeah, I mean, but that really resonates with me. I'm also, let's just be clear, I'm a visual learner. There are different types of learners out there. Okay, Sam, you're just the intelligent kind. But yeah, I'm like a very visual learner, which I think is why it really resonated with me, is because when you can see the ingredients, you're like, oh, that's not that hard. You know, reading all this and then the instructions, it like can be overwhelming. And so when you make it like palatable for people, it really becomes that, you know, accessibility for everyone to want to access, which is amazing, which is what we need.
Exactly. Yeah. Americans can't handle much. They can't process too many things, including facts and science in particular. But food, like pictures of food, Americans, they can get that.
Yeah. And well, I'm just thinking there was some big news that came out of Canada this week in regard to some good veganism stuff.
But now
that's
what am I
happening.
going to do with my free time?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure you know,
You
Carleigh,
definitely
but,
know.
it's why am I blanking on? It's
Canada
Goose.
Goose.
That's the name of it. Is the Canada
Oh,
Goose
yeah.
brand. They are going to stop using fur. Are they going to stop using geese feathers?
No, they haven't said that.
Okay,
That's
so
why
they're going to keep murdering Canadian geese. Sorry about that, but they're not going to use the fur that they hunt from wolves, dogs.
Yes.
What is
Wolves.
it? They like hunt wolves.
1,000%. Yeah.
Are they from Canada too? The wolves?
Yes.
Okay,
I think.
Right?
I believe so.
I don't know. But so they're going to stop using fur. Next step is for them to stop using feathers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does anybody buy Canada Goose at this point? Like this was so popular.
Girl.
Like 10 years ago.
You see it.
People buy it?
You see it here all the time.
So Sam joked that she's going to have nothing to do with her free time because she likes to drive around Philadelphia and like pour blood on people who have the Canada Goose coats. I'm just kidding. She doesn't actually pour blood on them, but she like verbally pours blood on them.
I
She likes to
verbally
yell at them.
assault them.
She literally verbally harasses people on the street, like, do you know what's inside of your coat? Blah 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 blah.
Like it's an air shank. It's like shh.
Yeah.
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 They're expensive. Like 10 years ago when I was in college, these Canada Goose jackets were so popular. And God bless my mom, but I'm like, I want one. And she went and got me like a knockoff Canada Goose jacket, like a Walmart version. And I would not wear it.
Oh.
Time I would now, but like they were so popular. And I feel like I don't see them as much now, but maybe they're popular in the US.
That's what I
which
was
is,
just
like,
wondering.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe
They're having their second wave.
right, like I guess obviously they came out there, they were made there, maybe they got popular enough, now they came here, everyone's hype, or maybe just people in Philly have like outdated fashion.
That's probably
I don't
it,
know.
yeah.
Like we're just like broke and have outdated fashion. I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, I mean it's kind of big news. Also, in the same week, Nike released their very first non.
Show them, Sam.
I've got them. Okay, I'm wearing them. Should I show them off? To the
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you actually got them.
I
Yeah.
totally got them.
She did.
I totally got
love
them.
that.
I like hopped on the second I saw the article and I was like, I've been impulse buying a lot, so it's a whole nother issue we could talk about on a different episode. But yeah, I deserved these shoes. Let me just say that.
You did, Queen.
I've been in the market for shoes for so long. The problem with vegan sneakers is that they're basically just like white or black. Like there's no fun colors or patterns. If they are, they're like ugly. You know, like Nike makes such a good, they got the sneaker game down pat. You know, they know what they're doing. And so they're really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting like to see these huge companies, you know, understanding the demand for people to have vegan options for their clothing is really cool, especially to see Canada Goose and Nike in the same week making these big moves. I don't know. It's amazing. It makes me feel like we're moving in the right direction.
For sure. I feel like it's something that we're seeing a lot lately too, with even like bigger designers too, because I mean I know they still have a long way to go, but there's been a lot of high end designers like designing vegan items. Like granted, they still are doing the leather thing too, but it's interesting because it's never happened before. And I don't know if you guys saw that like Gucci stopped using fur and they put out this whole like environmentally friendly line. It wasn't the cutest shit I've ever seen, but it to me it's like, all right, this is phase one, you know what I mean? This is what they brought out first. Like they're gonna keep doing it and it's just gonna keep getting cooler. And I feel like that's always something that I'm gonna make myself sound like a little I don't know, Beverly Hills bitch, but I was a person that was really into like designer type items, and obviously I don't, you know, purchase them anymore, but it's cool to see all these designers putting out these vegan bags. Granted, I think it was like Hermes that put out, they called it like this revolutionary, did you guys hear about this? They called it like this revolutionary, like new, like vegan centered like bag, and Hermes is extremely fucking expensive. But they made like the handle on it and like the trim, I think it was like calf leather. And they were like promoting it like towards like plant-based people or something. I mean, don't quote me on this. We'll Google it later. But yeah, it was like supposed to be this new thing they were putting out and to be like more forward and environmental, whatever. And it had like calf on it. But yeah, I'm rambling here, but yeah, it's just cool to see these bigger designers like at least thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think they were thinking about it before.
That's right. It wasn't on people's radar, you know, like 10 years ago, people would be like, no, we're not going to have the Impossible Whopper. We're not going to have Beyond Sausage at Dunkin' Donuts. RIP to the Beyond Sausage at Dunkin' Donuts.
Do you have that up there? Do you have Dunkin' Donuts?
I don't even think we have Dunkin' Donuts up here, but we had it at our coffee shop called Tim Hortons, but it also is no longer there. But A&W keeps repping the Beyond Burger. And I heard McDonald's is getting something eventually. Like I can't fathom that McDonald's hasn't come out with a veggie burger yet, but hopefully soon.
Yeah. It's nice just to see the options.
For sure. It makes it easier for people too, right? Because like I think half of the barrier to going vegan is that social. Like you talked in the intro to the thing about like I don't ever want to bring up that I'm vegan because I feel like people get uncomfortable for some reason. And it's like if you can just go to a fast food restaurant with friends and eat vegan because there's an option, that's like 10 out of 10. Amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah. We are coming to the end of our podcast. And this has been amazing, like so amazing. I'm so beyond grateful that you beyond meat. I'm so beyond grateful that you joined us. Do you have we hit all your channels already, but can you hit us with them again? Can you give us all your platforms and channels where people can follow you and become, stans like I am?
Yes, like both of us now. And it's also impossible for us all not to be best friends forever.
Thanks for saying it, Sam. I wanted to say it, but I've already been a stalker fan long enough. I'm glad you put it out there because I was like, okay, hopefully this is happening.
I got you.
This was literally so much fun. So thank you to both of you for having me on. You're both freaking hilarious, and it was a blast. You can literally find me on every social media channel, and it's just going to be the handle PlantU. So plantu.com, PlantU on TikTok, PlantU on Instagram, and I have the new app, Plant Genie app, but you will find it if you're at PlantU. So thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Wait, quick. One more question, Carleigh. What is your sign?
Wondering.
Oh, I'm a Taurus.
Okay,
Ooh.
okay. My dog is a Taurus, so
Apparently we're stubborn, which I mean that applies.
my
so.
mother's also a Taurus too. That's
Can
awesome.
Can you see some relation?
No, and that is a good thing.
Good thing.
Yes. Yes, Queen. Well, yes, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I can't wait to watch you grow because you're plant you.
That was so corny. That's usually a joke. Corny? That's usually a joke I would make. I'm glad that you made
You
it.
plant corn.
All right, this is delving into nonsense. This has been so much fun. This is Sam Cap and Sam Dub with Sam We Are. I would never call you a snake.
Sam, how are you, miss? Sam, we are. Sam, we are. Sam, how are you, miss? Sam.
This has been a Droptent Media production.